And here we go. On this Monday evening. It is the 7th day of November 2022. 6 o'clock straight up, which means, yes, you are in the midst of Real Talk Memphis. Good evening, Memphis and surrounding areas. Chip Washington here, your humble host. Very happy to have you with us. For the ride for the next 60 minutes, we have a great show lined up for you. We have some good guests. And hopefully we'll have some good conversations, but the most important quantity is you. Glad that you're here with us. You know, there's lots of ways to catch this radio show. Right now, we are on live on 91.7 WYXR on the FM side. We're also live on the TuneIn app. You can catch us. And we do this little thing called Facebook Live. I don't know if you can see us or not, but we're on that tonight as well, live. When they post the show a little bit later on or tomorrow, you can catch us on YouTube. And, of course, as a podcast, you can always catch us once the show is posted tomorrow afternoon, wherever it is you get your podcast. I also forgot to mention that we are on the WYXR app as well. So as someone used to say on radio in this town, just tap that app and you should be able to catch our show. There you go, right? There you go. So it was a cloudy, overcast, dreary kind of, little light rain day for the first half of it. Never saw sun at my house today. I don't know about you, but it was cloudy for most of the day. Tomorrow, we will see plenty of sunshine for the next 2-3 days. Temperatures are be warming close to 80 degrees. Then the bottom drops out as we get into next weekend. Highs will be in the 40s on next Saturday, about 47 degrees. Overnight lows will be freezing or below. So we're about to get hit again with another. See, here we go with this. You start out the beginning of the week, you dress a little lighter than you would normally dress because the weather is warmer. And it will be the next couple of days. And then 3 days later, we'll all be dressed in layers and putting on the jacket because highs will only be in the 40s. So we'll take what we can get, and we appreciate it nonetheless. Happy to have you guys along on this Monday evening. Sel is back with us this evening. He came down with what a lot of folks catching the flu these days, but he looks good. He's feeling better, and he's manning the controls this evening. Okay, so in terms of our guest, as I said, I think we have a pretty good lineup. Linn Sitler, she is the Memphis and Shelby County Film Commissioner. Now, we've had a lot of activity going on in our city here recently. The NBC series The Rock, Young Rock rather is what it's called, is filming here. The entire season is filming here. They're all over Memphis and Shelby County. I mean, maybe many of you have seen them out and about. So Lynn's going to talk to us a little bit about that and some of the other activity and projects that we may be seeing in our fair city. Also, Dr. Amit Prasad is going to be with us. Who is he? He's the medical director of Methodist Healthcare North. And in case you weren't aware, November is Diabetes Awareness Month. And diabetes is a very big problem, especially for many of our folks of color. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about diabetes, its effects, and more importantly, what we need to do to try to keep that under control if we can. And a little bit later on, when I have questions about anything going on in this city, I know only one person that I could go to get an absolute, straight, and honest answer. Mr. Otis Sanford, the Otis Sanford, as I like to refer to him, columnist, political commentator, and author. Now, that noise you hear, they told me earlier that once again, it's the fire alarm in this building. There is no emergency. There is no fire, but the fire alarm. And why they pick between 6 and 6:30 to do this on Monday of all days. But in any event, it's annoying as all get out, but we're going to try to move our way through all of that. But Otis Sanford will be with us a little bit later on in the broadcast to give us his thoughts and opinions on various issues concerning us, not only locally, but nationally as well. But this is the time of the program where we celebrate you. You made another trip around the sun. We're excited for you, whether you had a birthday over the weekend, today, or this week. We just like to celebrate you because nobody does it like Real Talk Memphis. But I can't do it until I say, hit it, Sel.
Happy birthday!
And most of the time when I give these birthdays, I don't know the individuals personally, but some of these folks I actually know. Happy birthday is going out to Andre T. Johnson. Michael and Easter Thomas. She's also a city councilwoman in our city, celebrating her birthday today. Daryl Cobbins. I really like Daryl. He does a lot of development in this city, and he's well known and well liked and well respected. Daryl Cobbins celebrating your birthday today. Happy birthday, D. Shirley Towns is celebrating today, as is Gloria Collins, Sherry Logan, Tony Elliott, Jennifer Jones. Happy birthday to you. Nathaniel Bell, it's your birthday today. D. Page, happy birthday. Paulette Reed Jones is celebrating today, as is Big Frank Gilbert. He's celebrating today as well. Sheila Bell and gospel musician Kevin Davidson, all celebrating birthdays on this day. So, each and every one of us here at Real Talk Memphis, we wish you a very happy birthday. Congratulations on another trip around the sun. And who knows? Hopefully we'll be back here next week to do it all over again. Thank you, Sal. So, last week, the day after we left here, probably just several hours after, we learned of the tragic shooting death of a member of the very popular rap group Migos. His name was Offset, I believe that's who it was. I'm sorry, it was Takeoff. Thanks, Sal. It was Takeoff who died. He was in Houston. Apparently, there was a private party and event at a bowling alley there. He was playing craps or dice, and I don't know, some sort of a disagreement broke out. Weapons were drawn. He was shot twice and killed, on the scene. 28 years old. And again, a member of the very popular rap group Migos. These guys are worldwide, big time, and so it stunned, once again, it stunned the music world. Another death associated with guns. So lots of tributes being paid to him. God rest his soul. In other news and notes, of course, we ended the week on Friday with another local tragedy. A mother and her 18-month-old daughter were shot at an apartment complex in North Memphis. The 18-month-old baby who was in the vehicle with her mother was shot and killed. The mother was wounded in the leg. The suspect is 19 years old. Her name is Juanita Bruce. She was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and 4 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Another life ends before it really has a chance to begin. And it's just another example of what we see, unfortunately. It's becoming a very regular occurrence here in Memphis and Shelby County. Memphis and Shelby County Schools has announced a timeline for selecting a new superintendent. They are looking to complete their national search by the end of this school year, meaning sometime by the end of May of 2023, they hope to have selected a candidate to helm the Memphis and Shelby County Schools. So we will see what happens with that. And welcome back, Kojic. Saints from all over the country have descended upon Memphis, Tennessee for the 114th edition of the Holy Convocation. Now, it starts tomorrow, and it goes through the 15th. But many of them are here in town. So I tell you what, let's show them the hospitality that we're known for here in the city and be on our best behavior so they will continue to come back here, which is originally their home, year after year after year. What do you say, right? You guys, you Saints, you coming to town, you guys act accordingly as well. Treat our folks locally here right to the restaurants. And if you're a patron of any of these stores or restaurants, take care of our folks, because I promise you, we will take care of you. So Election Day is tomorrow. I've been talking about this for a while now, and it's a very big election from the national perspective because it could mark the balance of power in this country. And if the Republicans happen to have a banner day, we could actually see, because it's been teased here recently, the return of a former president, the one that preceded the current president, may think about running in 2024. He's been making announcements all over the country talking about that or teasing it. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Tomorrow could be a very critical day. If you have some issues on your ballot, like mayoral candidates and some of the constitutional issues, like the one that would remove any reference from indentured servitude or slavery from the state constitution, that's on the ballot, as well as 3 other constitutional amendments tomorrow as well. And flu shots are available. As a matter of fact, on Wednesday from 10 to 2, the Shelby County Health Department is offering free flu shots to anybody who wants one. You don't have to make an appointment. Walk-ins are accepted, and they are free for that 4-hour period at any one of the health department locations in and around the city or the county. So I would strongly advise you to get a flu shot. National news has said that we've seen the beginning of this flu season has been as bad as it has been in about 10 years. So no joke, okay? Omicron boosters, COVID boosters are also available. In sports, the Memphis Tigers football team lost its 4th game in a row. The Memphis men's basketball team starts action tonight in Nashville playing Vanderbilt. So it's their first game of the year. So go Tigers, go. That wraps up the news and notes for this particular Monday. When we come back, what do you say we get things started? We're going to talk a little bit, speaking of health, we're going to talk to someone who is going to talk to us about diabetes and what you can do, hopefully, not to be able to pick up on that. All right, this is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Good to see you. You know who you are. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Authors Bob Beatty and Timothy Hoover will be at the Memphis Listening Lab on Thursday, November 10th for a listening event and discussion on Dwayne Allman, King Curtis, and the soul of Southern music. The event starts at 6:30 and is open to the public. Brought to you by the Stax Museum of American Soul Music and Memphis Record Pressing.
WYXR is supported by Minglewood Hall, presenting Big Head Todd and the Monsters. Spanning 3.5 decades of touring and recording, Big Head Todd and the Monsters is a blues-inspired rock band and has earned endorsements from Robert Plant to the Denver Broncos. More information at minglewoodhallmemphis.com.
I already know that I don't already know.
WYXR is supported by Graceland Live, presenting Manchester Orchestra on Friday, November 11th. Centered on the deeply personal, often biographical songs of singer-guitarist Andy Hull, Georgia's Manchester Orchestra are known for the emotive, textured blend of post-hardcore rock. More information at gracelandlive.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip here with you. Very happy to have you with us on this evening. And as I said at the outset of the program, this is Diabetes Awareness Month, and diabetes is a major health issue, and it's a big issue here in Memphis and Shelby County, which affects a lot of people of color in an adverse way. So I wanted to have an expert to come on the show and talk a little bit about all this tonight. I'm pleased to welcome to the show Dr. Amit Prasad. He is the medical director of Methodist Healthcare North. And Dr. Prasad, thank you for coming on Real Talk. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Quick correction. I'm the chief medical officer at Methodist South.
Okay, at Methodist South. Boy, I got that all mixed up there. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, he's the chief medical officer at Methodist South. Forgive me. That's my bad, not yours. I apologize for that.
All right.
But nonetheless, very happy to have you on the show, Dr. Prasad. And as stated, this is Diabetes Awareness Month. And of course, we have to pay very close attention to it. It is pretty common in a lot of folks, especially people of color. And I know that this is something that you deal with on a regular basis. But in terms of numbers, just how bad is it, not only locally but across the country?
Yes, I think you're exactly right. And good evening to the audience here. It's great to be with you folks talking about a very important, as you rightly said, a very important health condition. So diabetes really impacts a lot of people. We count at least 37 to 40 million people with this condition in this country alone.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And unfortunately, about 20% people may not even know that they have diabetes. So it's very important to not only know that you have this condition, but to be tested for it in case you're at high risk for this condition.
In terms of that, and you gave a percentage there, about 20% may not even know they have it. It sounds like diabetes is another one of those situations or diseases that really has no symptoms, overt symptoms. Is that correct?
Correct. So this is what I would say. Another thing I want to make sure that people understand. Yes, 37 to 40 million people, 1 in 5 or 20% may not even know that they have diabetes. Also, this condition is increasing in prevalence. So it has really doubled in the past in the past 20 years or so. It is now twice the number of people affected by it. It is also impacting younger and younger people. So people that we did not ordinarily think would develop diabetes, people in their teenage years, also are developing this condition. So an extremely important condition to be aware of.
Oh my, absolutely that. And you're giving us some pretty startling statistics from the perspective, and I had no idea of that. So is the most common form of diabetes, was it type 2?
That's correct. So there are several types of diabetes, but the three most important forms of diabetes is the type 1 diabetic, the type 2, and the gestational diabetic. So really the most important prevalent condition is the type 2 diabetes condition, which affects 90% of the people that have diabetes and is manifested with high fasting and after meals sugar numbers.
Now, we always hear about the sugar component involved in this, which is probably the most serious component. And, in terms of that, I would imagine for a lot of us, that's a big time lifestyle change. But is that one of the biggest things that maybe a person needs to cut back on, is the sugar content, or are there other things associated with that would help as well?
So diabetes presents as high sugars, but sugars is not the only issue with diabetes. Diabetes is a metabolic disease. So metabolism is how the body changes food into energy. Mm-hmm. And in conditions which have metabolic disorders, this is not done the way the normal body would process it. So what happens then is that the body does not process glucose properly, which leads to elevated glucose numbers in the bloodstream. And elevated glucose in the bloodstream is damaging. It can damage the blood vessels. So what happens then is that the blood vessels get damaged. So that can happen in the heart, can lead to a heart attack, can happen in the brain, can lead to strokes. It can impact your kidneys and cause kidney damage. It can also impact your nerves and cause neuropathy. So several manifestations from diabetes, which are a direct consequence of the high sugars, are really what cause the complications and the problems associated with diabetes. Now, sugar by itself is not the only thing that you should cut back on when you have diabetes. Mm-hmm. Really, when you have diabetes, like I said, it is manifested by high sugars, but your entire diet and lifestyle impact diabetes. So it is not just cutting back on sugars, it's really cutting back on a lot of range of of not so nutritious food items, looking at how much whole grain cereal you're consuming, how much complex carbohydrates you're consuming, are you smoking, are you physically active? A lot of things go into managing this condition, not just cutting back on sugars.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Dr. Amit Prasad from Methodist Hospital Group, and we're talking about diabetes, which is a very big deal. And if you missed what he said earlier, 37 to 40 million people in this country have some form of diabetes. And Dr. Prasad, what you just said, I was paying really close attention to in terms of what people, consume and really what people need to do. Now, if you are diagnosed with diabetes, in reference to some of the changes I think that you think that people should make, what are some of the other things that people can do to at least keep it at a management level, or can you keep it at a manageable level?
Absolutely. So if you have diabetes, you can absolutely control this condition. Let me step back for just a moment and just talk very briefly about who is at risk. So,
Sure.
if you are one of those people that are at risk. So if you're overweight or obese, certainly. If you have a family history of diabetes,
Yeah.
if you have a sedentary lifestyle, if you do not move around or exercise on a regular basis, if you've had history of gestational diabetes, that also puts you at risk of type 2 diabetes later on in life. And then, I think you mentioned earlier in this program, certain ethnic groups, African American, Hispanics, American Indians, and Asian Americans are all at higher risk of type 2 diabetes. So if you belong to one of these high risk groups, I think it's very important for you to be aware of the potential that you may have or may develop diabetes and to be tested. So like I said, I think earlier today, a lot of people may have diabetes, up to 20% may not even know it because sometimes there are no typical symptoms. Some people will present with increased thirst, increased urination, maybe change in vision. But again, like I said, the most common symptom really is no symptom. So if you are keeping up with your regular checks, going to your primary care doctor, getting your blood tests done on a regular basis, this condition can be picked up even if you have no clear-cut symptoms of this condition. And it is going to be extremely important for you, if you have diabetes, that you be aware of this and make the changes you need to make to manage this condition. Yes, it can be managed.
So, one of the things that you talked about, if you have a history of diabetes in your family tree, that should almost raise your antenna to what you were talking about really going and being diligent in getting yourself checked out, because clearly if you have a family history, there's a pretty good shot that you could be a diabetic as well.
Absolutely. So you must get tested.
Well, I first of all, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, because the information that you've given us, I think, is valuable in its own way, because of the fact that a lot of us live a certain type of lifestyle. A lot of us are sedentary, not moving around, not doing some of the things we can do. Particularly if we have it, it's not a death sentence, but it is manageable based on a lot of the steps that you just took. But more importantly, I think that it pays for all of us to keep a watch on ourselves. Get checkups, annual checkups and things like that, just to make sure that we don't see situations. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. Absolutely. This is a condition which is manageable, controllable. You can live a healthy, active lifestyle with this condition and control it well. Dr.
Amit Prasad, thank you so much for coming on the show. And really making us aware of what we need to know. The old saying is, if you know better, you do better. So thank you for coming on Real Talk. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye.
So you heard what Dr. Prasad said. It's very clear that diabetes is a big problem. Type 2 diabetes is a pretty big problem. And 37 to 40 million people in this country are diabetic in some form or fashion. It's not a death sentence if you take care of yourself and if you manage it properly. Those are the keys to living a long life, according to him. Thank him so much for coming on the show. So we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk a little local politics and maybe some national news as well. We have the Otis Sanford going to be joining us after the break. This is Real Talk Memphis. I am Chip. You know who you are. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
A full day of free live music is on tap at WYXR's Raised by Soundfest, sponsored by Mempho Presents. Spend the day at Crosstown Concourse on Saturday, December 3rd to see performances by Mac Rowe, Welkstall, Lemons, Dahl McCoy, Edie X Tico, Knots, and Aaron Ray. 2 ticketed fundraising events wrap up the fest. Big Star's 50th anniversary of #1 record at Crosstown Theater, and a DJ after party with Andrew Van Weingarten and Bodywork. Plus, Kevin Morby will kick things off on November 30th for the opening of This Is a Photograph exhibit. Go to raisedbysoundfest.com for details and ticketing info. WYXR is supported by GPAC, presenting Charles Lloyd Trio on Friday, November 4th. NEA jazz master and native Memphian Charles Lloyd has a sound that reflects a lifetime of experience. The Memphis Music Hall of Fame inductee will be accompanied by Harish Raghavan and Anthony Wilson. More information at gpacweb.com.
WYXR is supported by Graceland Live, presenting Big Bad Voodoo Daddy's Wild and Swingin' Holiday Party on December 10th. For 29 years, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy has created their own take on American swing and jazz music. Drawing on a catalog of holiday classics and Christmas originals, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy will bring its live holiday show to you. More information at gracelandlive.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. And as I said before the break, you know, when I have questions about what's going on in our city, in our county, in our state, and even nationally, there's only one person that I go to because no matter what I ask him, he will always tell the truth. It is my pleasure to welcome the Otis Sanford back to Real Talk Memphis. And Otis, it's good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Chip. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So I know your time is precious this evening, so we're gonna motor through this thing. First of all, in terms of the national perspective, I mentioned at the top of the show that, of course, there's a big election tomorrow nationwide that could very easily shift the balance of power in the Congress. From your perch, where do you see things after tomorrow?
Well, wow. I mean, it's really difficult to tell right now. I mean, obviously, things go back and forth. And it seemed that earlier in the summer, Democrats had at least a real good chance of keeping the Senate. That started to change in late September and into October. And the prevailing wisdom was that Republicans were going to take over. And now there seems to be a slight shift back. So I have no idea. I do believe Republicans will take the House back. But I'm not so sure that they will get the Senate just because of the quality of candidates on the Republican side.
Yeah, that has been the conversation. I think there are 3 states in particular, Pennsylvania. I know that Georgia is one, and I think Nevada is one as well. They're keeping the national pundits are keeping a very close eye on these races, and we may not know in a couple of those races by the end of tomorrow because of the way they vote. In Georgia, you have to win by 50% plus 1. Am I correct in that?
That's correct. And so it could very well be a runoff.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting day, to say the least. Now, here locally, not really a lot of action. Most of the several municipalities are having elections for mayor, and there are 4 constitutional amendments on the ballot. One which most of us have been talking about, which is Amendment 3, to remove the language from the Tennessee Constitution in reference to slavery. Now, I had folks on last week to talk a little bit about this because I'll be honest with you, my first question is, where'd this come from? I mean, we hadn't had any references to slavery for quite a long period of time. So, you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, it's just been one of those things that have been sitting in our Constitution for all these many years. Mm-hmm. And really, I've said this before, if you go back and look at the U.S. Constitution and read carefully the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, it has pretty much the same language that says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, shall be allowed. Well, that's the same language here in Tennessee, and we just finally got around to taking it out.
I just found it a little odd that it just came up, but from what I'm to understand, there are several states around the country. I think about 5 to 7 or 8 that have this same provision in their constitution. That's going to be on the ballot as well, correct?
Yeah, and I think all of them will be struck down. I mean, will be removed. I mean, as divided as this country is, as much racism as this country still has, I don't think that there is any appetite to have the specific language about slavery anywhere in any state constitution.
Well, I would agree with that. And before I shift gears to a little closer to home, back to the national perspective, if the Republicans take the House, a certain former president is making a lot of noise about perhaps re-emerging as a possible 2024 candidate for president. Thoughts?
Oh, I think he's probably going to reemerge no matter what happens tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think, and he's doing that for several different reasons. And I think the primary reason is he thinks that it'll stave off any criminal indictments against him. I don't think that that's going to be the case, but I think that's what he thinks. And he loves sucking up all the oxygen and air in the room.
Absolutely.
So that's I think it's a veritable certainty.
Okay, so let me ask you this question in reference to that, because my concern is that if he does announce that he's going to re-enter the presidential sweepstakes and he gets indicted in between the time he announces and 2024, based on even what you said, how will this country, a portion of this country, react to all of that, particularly if he announces and then he's indicted behind that? Because he can't run if he's indicted, correct?
Well, I don't know if he can't run if he's indicted. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
He probably can't run if he's convicted, but I'm not sure about that. I think either way, Chip, is going to be a terrible time in this country. There are obviously going to be a lot of Trump supporters who will rise up, and we could see some violence in the streets. I hope we don't, but we could.
Yeah.
But that is not enough to say let's not do what needs to be done, because nobody is above the law. And we just cannot allow any person, no matter who they are and where they serve, to feel as if they're above the law. So if the evidence is there and they refuse to do it because they're afraid of backlash, then we've got a bigger problem with our democracy.
Amen to that. I can't say I disagree with anything you just said. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with, I refer to him as the Otis Sanford, columnist, political commentator, and author. And now, I want to shift gears back home here. Just your perspective. I've been reading a lot of your editorials. I make it a general practice, and you don't hold back in terms of where we are, what's going on in terms of the crime, which is clearly out of control, and a lot of other issues that are going on. First of all, Do you think that the newly elected juvenile court judge, Tarek Sugarman, and the District Attorney General, Steve Mulroy, will make a difference in really trying to navigate these waters in terms of, what happens in particular to the juvenile crime perspective and, these individuals that are committing crimes at 15, 16 years old. We had a shooting on Friday that killed an 18-month-old baby girl by a 19-year-old female. What's your take on all this?
Well, I mean, obviously, to the very beginning of your question, I think that Judge Sugarman and Steve Mulroy have the ability, I believe, to set a different tone. Now, whether that leads to any substantive improvements, that remains to be seen. But crime in this community, Chip, is an unbelievable problem. And it goes far beyond politics. A lot of times it goes far beyond law enforcement. There is only so much the police chief, the sheriff, the elected officials can do if two women want to fight and they get together to fight. One of them brings children with them, and then the other one fires a gun into the car and kills a baby. That is just the most outrageous thing I've seen in a long time. There's nothing that we can do from a police or political perspective to stop that. That's a family dysfunction. That is someone who obviously grew up thinking that violence is the way to solve things. That has to be resolved at a different level than politics and the police department.
Yeah, and a lot of we're playing the blame game, and it's always like, we have these press conferences after some high profile incident happened, and we've had several of those, including what happened here a couple of days ago, and people want to have press conferences to talk about the outrage and this and that. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're all looking for somebody to blame. All the churches haven't done enough. All the politicians haven't done enough. And I mean, it really is outside of their purview. What goes on in your house is your business, and how you handle what goes on in your house should also be your business. And at least that's how I look at it. And if we're going to blame somebody, maybe we should look inward as to whether we're doing the job that we're supposed to be doing as parents and guardians.
That's my point exactly, Chip. And I saw an article this afternoon. The mother of the 19-year-old who was in court today.
Yes.
She was there, and obviously she is sad about what happened. But some questions have to be asked here. How did you raise a child to think that I can take a gun and just shoot into a car? I mean, that's a family issue there. That's not a police issue.
Yeah. And again, when we look at situations like that, everybody's trying to find answers. I mean, sure, we're all outraged and we're very saddened by situations like this, and there's always enough blame, to go around. But you're right. I mean, the politicians can't fix it, the law enforcement can't fix it, but somebody has to take some accountability here. And
exactly.
And I think that really needs more of a laser focus in reference to what you said. But I need to get some clarity from you on this, because I sent you a text about it. We have a mayor's race next year for Memphis. We've already got several candidates in the race, and one of them has intent but hasn't formally announced yet. There are two of them in particular, Van Turner and Sheriff Floyd Bonner, who may be dealing with some residency issues in reference to a federal court situation. Explain that to me, because I'm confused about that.
Well, I'm going to try to explain this as quickly as I possibly can.
Yes, sir.
Still make some sense here.
Yes, sir.
Originally, the city charter said you have to live in Memphis for 5 years before you could run for mayor.
Okay.
Well, that was sort of overturned or sort of tacitly struck down with a Supreme Court ruling that said that, no, you can't put that kind of a long-range requirement on it. And then there's been a very recent federal case out of Mason, Tennessee, where a person was trying to run and they said he hadn't lived there long enough. Right. And a federal judge said something along the neighborhood of about 6 months. I think what has happened here now is that the city council attorney, Alan Wade, who is well respected, and they rely on him to make a lot of decisions, make a lot of opinions. He has concluded that the requirement of 5 years does not apply, that really it's almost down to like 30 days, really. That's what he says. And so if somebody wants to challenge this in court, let them challenge it in court. But I don't think that there's going to be any problem from a legal standpoint with Floyd Bonner or Van Turner running. But the voters might think, well, I'm not sure I want to vote for you if you didn't think well enough to live inside the city before you wanted to run to leave the city. That's a voting issue more than it is a legal issue.
That's very interesting, and I understood it. So you must have explained it properly, because I don't consume a lot of information well. But listen, man, I know you're running, and I just really want to thank you for coming on tonight and sharing your viewpoint, which sincerely and humbly I really appreciate. Because if we need a lot more folks that will actually not be afraid to say what needs to be said and when it needs to be said. All we can do is continue to pray for our city and pray for each other. But my friend, thank you so much for coming back on the show. And I look forward to our next conversation, whenever that may be.
All right. Thank you, Chip. Good to be with you again.
Have a great night, my friend. Have a great night. All right, so that was Otis Sanford, and he talked about a lot of very interesting subjects and topics there that we will keep an eye on, and of course, if I have questions, I'll always know where to find him. We'll take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to Hollywood, or is Hollywood coming to Memphis, or however that works. We're going to talk a little film and a little television with the commissioner of the Memphis and Shelby County Film Commission. She is Linn Sitler. I'm Chip Washington. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
WYXR is supported by GPAC, presenting Charles Lloyd Trio on Friday, November 4th. NEA Jazzmaster and native Memphian Charles Lloyd has a sound that reflects a lifetime of experience. The Memphis Music Hall of Fame inductee will be accompanied by Harish Raghavan and Anthony Wilson. More information at gpacweb.com.
Support for WYXR comes from our partners at Spaces Group, a certified Miller Knoll dealer. Spaces Group is a commercial furniture dealership located in Memphis, Tennessee and Jackson, Mississippi, specializing in furniture for the corporate, healthcare, educational, and nonprofit markets. More information at spacesgrp.com or their Instagram at spacesmemphis.
This is Clark Ortiz, co-founder at Crosstown Brewing Company. We are proud to be WYXR's official beer sponsor for 2022. Memphis music deserves Memphis beer. Working with the WYXR team has been an awesome way to support local community radio and foster a deeper connection with music while doing it. Our Instagram and Facebook pages feature all the updates regarding CBC and WYXR's frequent collaborations. Enjoy following along.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening, November 7th. And before I even get into this, I've been trying to get my next guest for about a month. She has been traveling, going here and going there and everywhere. And I finally got a chance to get her sitting down for a few minutes to have a chat with us. She is Linn Sitler, the Commissioner of the Memphis and Shelby County Film and Television Commission. And Linn, it's good to see you again.
Oh, Chip, it's so good to see you again, too. And I tell you what, I am so excited about Young Rock. I can't stand it. And I just saw Joe Birch's. I've been out of town. I just saw Joe Birch's interview with The Rock that aired last Thursday night.
Yep.
Oh, it's so incredible. It was so wonderful to hear The Rock say how much he loves the Memphis.
Well, he clearly does, and that show made a commitment here to shoot for the entire season. And I mentioned at the top of the show that many of us have seen the production crew, all around the city, in and around various venues. This has got to be extremely exciting that another network program, a hit network program, I think it just made its third season debut Friday night, is actually shooting the entire season in our city. And you got to be thrilled with that.
Oh, I am. I really am. And here I'm drinking my coffee tonight out of a mug, and look what it says. Hard work pays off.
There you go. There you go.
It's coming here was the result of efforts of the state to incentivize it, the city, county, and Edge. Richard Ross, who had the idea, The Rock, who agreed with it. I mean, we are thrilled.
So I know last time it's been a minute since I've spoken with you, but there are always things brewing and percolating here in the city and county. Are there other projects that we can look forward to either on the television or film side of things that will be here?
Well, there is always projects that are coming in, smaller projects.
Mm-hmm.
As far as any big film or TV projects, we are hoping for season 4, but we won't know it. They are, hoping to have a season 4 and hoping to have it here. It depends on a lot of factors, the ratings, the economics. They are going to put their things in storage here at the end of shooting, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine, as you say, a lot of people, most of us have absolutely no idea what goes into negotiating deals for these major projects. This is a major television project, millions of dollars to the city, and an economic boom, because it's not only it's film, but a lot of the crew. I believe I heard half the crew is locally based, so there's some employment opportunities as well. So there really is a wide spectrum when you have a show like this that has committed to our city. I mean, there is a lot that goes into it, isn't it? And there's also a lot of benefit that comes out of it. Am I correct?
Yes, and I really, need to. NBC Universal is very, they play their cards close to their vest,
mm-hmm.
and. But I do need to get a list of all the vendors that they've used. Like I was talking to the musician Deb Sweeney the other night, and she was saying that they've been using Ward Archer's studio for ADR, for audio replacement, where the stars are coming in and they are, some dialogue perhaps that was recorded on the set wasn't quite what they wanted, so they've been coming in and replacing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one of many examples. They shot at the Peabody. They're staying all over town. They back in the day when location filming first started away from California, they called it the ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Why a city would want a project in their city to base there, and it's because you drop a movie or a TV project drops a penny, and it's just like a puddle. It affects everybody: the dry cleaners, the rental cars, the grocery stores, the bars, the seamstresses,
sure.
everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how many? I mean, since Young Rock is being filmed here, are you getting inquiries? More inquiries, because I would imagine when folks on the outside, and there are always new shows in development and new projects every day all across the country in all these film and television studios. Are you getting inquiries from people about, perhaps maybe that might be thinking about coming to Memphis or Shelby County and having those kind of conversations? Are you having those kind of conversations with folks?
Yes, and it's changed though since the 90s. Back in the day, before state incentives, we would get the first call. Then we would call the State Film Commission and say, these people are interested in coming. We want you to know. But now, because the whole game is incentives, lots of times the state gets the first call, and everybody's looking to see if they can fit into this new tax credit scenario, which is the new incentive which enabled Young Rock to come here, where they can get up to 50% of the payroll back if they hire a Shelby Countyan.
Oh, wow. Well,
and 40% if it's not a Shelby Countyan.
So it really boils down to, as you said, economics and who can give us the best tax break. Is that's pretty much endemic all across the country?
No, yeah, we give them the tax break.
We give them the tax incentive,
break.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a much better incentive than we had before, where we had to go to the state legislature and plead case by case, and then maybe by the time the bill was passed, come March, April, May, when the session ended, it had already gone someplace else. So this way, if a company qualifies, then it's a much steadier flow of incentives. And for instance, with NBC, Comcast is the parent company.
Okay.
So this 50% refund on the payroll is 40 to 50%. It's in the form of a tax credit, and it goes to the parent company, Comcast, that owns NBC, that has quite a tax liability in the state. And the same for the local incentive. The tax, it's not a rebate, it's a deferral, I think. But anyway, it forgives the tax for the first year on property of Comcast in Memphis and Shelby County. It's these great economic minds locally and in the state have developed this formula, and I understand it's all based on something that Reed Dulberger years ago developed in New York.
Well, I got to tell you, whatever we're doing in terms of the incentives, clearly is working. This is a big spotlight on our city. This is a big deal. It really is. And congratulations to you and all of those Edge and all of those folks who are working, tirelessly to continually keep Memphis in the Hollywood spotlight, so to speak. And I'm sure that there'll be other projects coming down the road. I know you like to keep stuff pretty close to your chest too. You don't share everything at one time. So
well, it's not my choice. I'd be here talking about it all the time, except I get in trouble with the clients. But I have to say that we have a wonderful crew base, and a lot of younger up and coming that are getting their first opportunities on the Bluff City Laws and the Young Rocks.
Yeah.
And I went to a little event that they had Saturday afternoon, kind of to celebrate the premiere, and so many new younger faces, and they're all coming up, and so much excitement, and the older, more experienced ones are excited about showing them the ropes. It's a good karma. Good karma.
Absolutely that. I'm all for good karma. Listen, Linn Sitler, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I've really been anxious to talk to you about it. And congratulations to all involved with Young Rock. And we just hope it just gets better and better from here. And congratulations. And thank you so much for taking some time this evening. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me and for pursuing it, because I have been in and out a lot, but I'm always happy to come on your show, Chip.
Thank you so much, Linn. I appreciate you. You have a great evening, okay? Take care.
You too.
All right, bye now. Well, that wraps up a good edition of Real Talk Memphis for this Monday. Linn Sitler talking to us about young rock, and yeah, man, it's always exciting. It adds another element, another layer of excitement when you see these film crews around the city, doing their thing, because it means that Memphis is being showcased, and there's nothing wrong with that. So listen, thank you all for checking in tonight. You know how much I very much appreciate it. And, over the weekend, I said last week that both my producers, Nicole and Lola, have their own radio projects going right now. Lola's got 3, I think, shows on satellite networks around this country. And Nicole had her debut show over the weekend on Saturday evenings, Saturday night at 7 p.m. from 7 to 8 on, was it Bumpin' 96.3? I got it right? It's Bumpin' 96.3, ladies and gentlemen, on your FM dial. Anyway, she'll be back on Saturday night from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Check her out. Check them both out, as a matter of fact. So as Sel plays us out, very happy and once again and thankful for all my guests. Play us out, Sel. There you go. We'd like to welcome him back. As I said, he was recovering from the flu, and he's back and looking good. And good show tonight, Sel. You didn't forget too much. I hadn't seen you in a couple weeks. You didn't forget too much. Nice job, man. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for supporting us and being there. And listen, like I always tell you, continue to tell folks about what we do on this fine radio station. Tell them about Real Talk Memphis. Tell them they should check us out, because it's a pretty good show. So for Lola, for Nicole, for Sal, and for your humble host, me, thank you once again. I humbly appreciate you as always. And if the Lord says so, we'll be back here next week, same time, same radio station, same seat. So we try to do it just a little bit better. So in the meantime and between time, I'm Chip, and I'm out.